2005. And we're all, super excited for another one of these to come out because, all of our hopes were met with the last two.
Oh, so delicious.
Right? Isn't everybody super thrilled? Revenge of the Sith is here, everybody, and welcome to After the Hype. I'm your host, as always, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Chewy Darso.
Hello.
And Jonathan Hardesty.
I'm around.
Yep. This was quite an endeavor we overtook over the past 6 weeks of going through all of these. Well, 7 weeks if you count episode 300. Going through all the Star Wars movies, and I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience.
It was.
I, of course, enjoy it. I just wish I wasn't so tired when we have to watch these movies.
Well,
but I think that's just part of being my life now.
Yeah, I think it's just being a parent.
When do I feel fully awake? I don't know.
Never.
10 years ago?
Or in my case, explaining the lore and the implications of every plot point that's happening in real time to a 6-year-old who's watching with.
God, Karina's 6?
It happens fast, doesn't it?
So fast.
She's
almost been alive for a decade.
Well, that's really rounding up there. She's 6.
Yeah, but it's closer to a decade than she's ever been before.
Well, that's true right now.
Yeah.
And right now.
And right
now. So happy Star Wars Day to everybody, because today is the day that if you're going out to a late night screening, you're going to see it. The Skywalker will rise, maybe. The titles have all been a little vague and not exactly accurate.
I just hate their tagline. The saga will end.
And wasn't that
the saga did end.
Yeah,
in 1983.
It's fucking ended twice, to be fair, because Lucas saw the one that we're talking about today as the end of the saga. That's why the final lightsaber battle is supposed to be the most epic lightsaber battle ever, because it's the end of the saga.
So this is like the end of
Lord of the Rings,
yeah. Except
but
laid out
46 years
for a really long time.
Sorry, 42 years.
Right. J.J. Abrams saw Return of the King and it was like, hold my beer.
You think you're gonna get up and leave now? No. There's still 15 more minutes.
We have robot eagles twice.
This would be Chewie's turn to do a quick breakdown of everything that happens in Revenge of the Sith. Sith.
I thought I did one. I did Jedi.
You did Jedi.
But it's my turn again, I guess. Okay,
it comes back around.
All right. Well, in Revenge of the Sith, we start on Clone Wars.
Wars.
So the Clone Wars are in full swing, where they're fighting the Separatists with their, cool, we got an army, guys.
Of clones?
Of clones.
Yeah, okay.
One of them is named Cody, which apparently Brian thought was...
Hey, don't spoil my joke. We'll get there.
Okay, fine. So they're fighting, and then they come back to Coruscant, Anakin and Obi-Wan, and Anakin's all like, oh my god, I get to bump uglies with Padme again. And Obi-Wan's like, no, you're gonna go do your job. And Anakin does the other. Because this movie is all about Anakin doing not what he's supposed to be doing. Listen to the people who raised you and the Jedi who have made you who you are today. No, I'm gonna listen to this other dude. I'm gonna listen to this politician who you all tell me politicians are evil, but this one seems real cool.
He's
not like every other politician.
Yeah, he really appeals to all of my deep emotional needs. Which I know you guys told me I shouldn't trust that.
He just tells it like it is.
But this just feels really right.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, bad sneeze there.
And then we have Padme, who spends the majority of the movie hanging out in her window room, kind of
brushing her curly hair,
talking about how much she loves Anakin
and babies
and future babies, and she doesn't really talk to anyone at all except for Anakin and C-3PO, and she has like one scene with Obi-Wan, but other than that she's pretty secluded because once you become a wife and a mother, you just kind of lose contact with the outside world, which that's kind of accurate too, but
fair.
When she is seen doing her job in the Senate, she's just sitting there and not saying anything.
She has one line, and it's one of the best lines of the whole movie.
But it's mostly a line to herself.
Sure, I'm just saying...
She's still not doing anything.
Still a great line.
Still a great line, but she's not doing it. Anakin or Padme all the character building of Padme is gone in this movie. And then, so Anakin has bad dreams. He starts to overreact. He gets even buddier with Palpatine. The Jedi goes, wow, this seems bad. We're going to do something about this. And they try to do something about it. Mace Windu almost solves all of the problems, but then Anakin gets real dumb and says, no, stop it. And, oh, look, the Sith Lord killed a Jedi. And it just dissolves from there, where Anakin kills everyone.
Everyone.
He kills adults, he kills babies, he kills kids, kills all the separatists. And Obi-Wan goes to him going, but why? You were my brother. You were the chosen one. I am distraught and I should have seen this coming. And then Padme dies because. And the movie's done.
Yeah, pretty much. This is one of those rare movies that I think, just because I'm such a Star Wars fan and whatever, I think I make this movie better in my head than what's on screen.
I do it too. There are parts of this movie I really enjoy, but when you break it down, this movie is, I mean, like what I just said, that's basically the movie, and it's not great.
But there's things like, and I want to start with kind of like my favorite thing in the whole movie, and it's a lot of people's favorite thing in the whole movie. But I probably should save it for the end because that's, you know, when it happens. But I want to start with the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin because it is
my God, yeah.
And I can go on for hours. Like I even made the joke while we were watching it because we watched it just like 10 minutes before we started this episode. I could do the entire episode on just that lightsaber fight, and I don't know if it's Lucas's directing. I'm not sure if it's a stunt choreographer's like ballet sort of fight they have going here, or if it's just the performances. But there's so much story that happens in that lightsaber fight. And it's my favorite thing about the movie because, especially like you go to the Abrams trilogy, you go back to the original trilogy, and very much throughout this trilogy, there's so much telling and not showing. It's kind of a problem that Star Wars has had. And it doesn't really bother me because it goes the whole way through all of it. And whatever, okay. It is kind of this made-up fantasy stuff, so you kind of have to explain it. But when it comes to Revenge of the Sith, and I don't know if it's just me filling in blanks that actually aren't blank and they just were shitty writing, or if it actually is there, but I find so much story not told to us and just shown. And the best example of that is the lightsaber fight. And the main reason I bring that up, and the main reason I think that, is when you're watching it throughout the entire fight, with the exception of maybe one or two incidents? There it is. Obi-Wan has the upper hand the whole fucking time. There are so many moments where Anakin is sloppy, he's swinging wildly, he is out of control, and Obi-Wan is calm and collected and could finish the fight. There's 3 different times it happens. The most obvious is when Anakin's like, this is the end for you, my master, and he jumps off that robot who he just gave the worst day ever. The poor robot lost his bucket.
Right.
Let's pour one out for that poor robot's bucket. He just wanted to hang on to the bucket, and he's like,
that
no,
was
it's
a
just
really
too hot,
nice,
too hot.
That was a really nice bucket, too.
A really nice
God
bucket.
damn it.
I feel really bad for that robot. But so he lands on the thing, and he's like, and he almost falls off. And his lightsaber is up and behind him, and his belly is totally exposed. And Obi-Wan isn't going for balance. He isn't doing anything. He stands and waits for Anakin to ready himself. That fight was over.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when there's so much story in the fight. Obi-Wan could have ended it, I think, many, many times. Of course, Anakin's an amazing fighter. Like, that's clear. So he is, he can hold his own with him. But I think it's clear Obi-Wan is the better fighter and could have ended it if he wanted to, but he did not want to. He had so many chances to kill him and didn't do it every time. Even at the end. When Anakin is clearly defeated, he could just push him into the lava, force push him into the lava. The fucking trilogy's done. The next trilogy is going to have a lot of fucking problems without Darth Vader in it. But he could have put him out of his misery, and he could have done it, and Obi-Wan just can't kill him. He does love him, and I see all of that throughout that fight, and I think it's amazing.
I think Revenge of the Sith is the one I've seen the least many times out of all of the prequels, and I was surprised by this scene. Basically, for everything you just said, yeah, I agree. It was just, there was so much story there, and so much of the tragedy. Like, a lot of the plot stuff was so goofy, but then when we got here, I was like, everyone else in my house, shut up. This is important.
Yeah.
And the dialogue didn't suck.
Throughout all that entire sequence. I mean,
the last terrible line we get is Padme saying,
You're breaking my
you're
heart.
breaking my heart.
And then
that's
Billy Ray Cyrus just comes crashing in.
Don't tell my heart, my aching, breaking heart. I just don't think you'd understand.
once she says that line, which I've said before, you're breaking my heart. This movie's breaking my heart because of the bad lines, but we stop having bad lines after that. All the lines actually mean something, are well acted, are loaded.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Anakin's a little bit of like the, you underestimate my power.
Well, I blame that on Hayden Christensen not being the best actor.
Sure, he tries.
But even so, like, all those lines make sense in that moment because they've led up to how much all this fake stuff that Anakin needs to latch onto for anger.
Yeah.
He has to totally take his mind away from the feelings that he does actually love Obi-Wan too. Mm-hmm. But he is so desperate in his need to now justify his actions. And that he still thinks that Padme is going to die, so he needs to continue down this path. So then he needs to have these stupid lines of, you never fully trained me, or you don't underestimate my power, all this stuff. You are holding me back.
Yeah.
Like, adolescent.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Like, what are you talking about?
But it works in your crass adolescent decision making.
It's his best acting in the entire series, like, by far. And, like, sure, I don't think Hayden Christensen's the best actor in the world. I do think he was severely not helped by Lucas. But this is, like, this scene alone gives me just that little glimmer of, like, this is why I can go back and watch the prequel trilogy. Because I know it's heading here. And this scene works so fucking well that it brings, for me, it's like it's the Big Lebowski. It ties the whole thing together.
Yeah. We just need to ignore
Two.
and
Most
just
of two.
the terrible flop that is Padme's character arc.
Oof.
And ignore that even Ewan McGregor gives bad performance here and there. Like when
He has one bad line. One bad line.
His worst line is when he's watching the hologram of Anakin killing everyone, and he just goes, "I can't watch this anymore." Like, did you want to try that again, Ewan? Do you want to put any emotion into that?
For me, it was a line when he told Padme, "They're killing younglings." I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, that was bad too, but he was at least kind of trying in that shot. When he says, "I can't watch this anymore," it's like,
it's pretty hollow.
Do you feel bad? I don't know.
No, it's
Also,
just grainy.
what the
I
fuck
can't
is
stand
that
to watch
security
it anymore.
footage? Like, what is that footage?
Really,
It makes
really
no sense.
Specific footage. Really locked into this 3-foot radius footage.
Yeah, like you're really locked into it, and that just makes me go like, Anakin, why are you killing people there? Like, you're
Right
a Jedi.
there.
You should know where the camera is pointed with its laser focus.
I'm more powerful than the camera.
Yeah. I take issue with the security cameras in this movie. Never mind. I take away everything I just said about that amazing scene. The movie's flawed. Severely flawed.
Fail.
Do you want to do your explanation for why Padme dies now or later?
Yeah, let's dive into it. I mean, we're already here. So, if you take the movie at its base value, she dies because Anakin
Broke her heart. And women are fragile.
and she couldn't live with a broken heart. Like, it legitimately, like, I don't know.
The moment you become a mother, you're just this little thing that can't survive on its own anymore.
Without the husband, yeah, it doesn't work. So that's what's on screen, and maybe that's what it was intended. I don't know. The way that I've seen it, and it's because, again, I'll go back to me being a Star Wars fan and primarily a Darth Bane fan. I can go for hours and hours about why I think Darth Bane is the best Star Wars character, and he is probably my favorite character in the entire thing, and he's canon. Let me remind you. Thank you, Clone Wars. Voiced by Mark Hamill. But all that aside, so when Darth Bane becomes Darth Bane, he does so by taking a doctor who is a good man and his daughter who is a good woman, killing the fuck out of them, and absorbing their life energy into himself to help himself from what were definitely near mortal wounds. It is his final goodbye to any good person that there ever was inside of him, and he becomes the Darth Bane, the creator of the Rule of Two, or the reinstiller of the Rule of Two, and the most badass villain Star Wars has ever seen. Maybe with General Thrawn. But, whatever. Well, that's a different argument for later.
Admiral, by the
Sorry,
way.
Admiral Thrawn. I should know that. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So, taking that story and looking at what we have in Revenge of the Sith, what I think is happening at the end of the film is not that Vader, because that's who he is now, Vader is killing her with his anger. I'm so mad, I'm just crushing things. No, what I'm seeing happen here is that he is fucking dead. He is dead by the end of that lava lake. He is catching on fire. He is grasping for any sort of straws that he can to keep himself alive. The only thing in his life that he loves, his only beacon, is Padme. So he is locked in on her. And to keep alive, he drains her life force.
You assume by accident.
I assume by accident. I don't think he meant to do it, but I think he does do it. And that's how he stays alive while catching on fire, sitting next to an entire lake of lava. He is constantly draining Padme.
And Darth Sidious does tell him, together we will learn how to conquer death.
And he figured it out.
And he figured it out by accident.
Yeah.
And
the editing would actually
the life he
back that up.
saves is himself.
Yeah, it's there in the editing. There's one line that does it with, like, we're losing her and we don't know why. She's in perfect health. I think it's there. Personally, I think it's there. I know.
And Darth Sidious does say, in
I
your
like that.
anger, you killed her.
You killed her.
That's impossible. And now I'm Frankenstein's monster.
They don't exactly nail the landing. I'm not saying that. But I think that the death is there. I know a lot of people have taken issue with it throughout the years. They think it's stupid. I don't think it's stupid. And I think it's there.
So
I think
subtle,
it works.
and it does require more knowledge of the Force that would be a thing. So you are filling in a little blanks, but no, it's a valid idea.
Yeah.
What? And it's,
I really like that. I hadn't heard that before.
But
But
I just came up with this shit. Boom, 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 boom. I'm knowledgeable
well,
of the
you
dark
didn't
side.
just come up with this shit. It
Well,
was
I've-
written in a book.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm applying it to this film.
Yeah.
I have not heard other people say it that I know of. It could be out there, but right now, I'm sitting high up on my clouds.
Your Bespin clouds?
Yeah. I'm sipping a mojito with Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're not drinking my alcohol? I'm like, no, Billy D. I like mojitos.
Yes, because
How
they
about
have
a Colt
45 in Bespin,
No thanks. Mojito.
Cloud City.
A Bespin 47.
Cloud City special. I should make that poster.
That would be nice.
Cloud City special, Colt 45.
Yeah, I like it.
I really like that idea, though, that he's pulling our life force. That just wraps it up really nicely and actually really boosts that ending for me. That it's always felt a little like, oh, what? She's brokenhearted? Like, it always seemed so kind of like a stumbling block for me. But
It was weak. It was really
Yeah.
hollow. It was just kind of like, well, I guess we just couldn't have her stay alive.
That's her character in
Yeah,
this
totally.
movie. She's weak and hollow. She has nothing going on in this movie. She's just the woman. She gets refrigerated in this movie. I know how I feel with it, but tell me she's not.
I mean, I know.
Does she have anything to do with the plot other than to be the emotional vehicle for the male lead?
And I should clarify, I understand the reference. I'm not saying there's a problem with the reference. It just breaks my heart because it's a Green Lantern reference, and I love Green Lantern, but they fucked up good and bad in that one.
Well, it's not that they didn't do it specifically. It had been happening for a while. They just made a visual cue that people could latch onto.
Yes. Yeah. Oof. Big
But,
swing
yeah.
and a miss there, guys.
Like, you would love to, in this podcast, talk about Padme's character in this movie, but what is there to talk about?
Oh, there's fucking nothing. Because this isn't the Padme from the other two movies.
No.
no, it's such a left turn. Like, I was surprised, again, having not seen this one nearly as much as the other ones. I was like, she'll have some cool stuff in the beginning. Nope.
Nope.
No, she's just standing there by a pillar, waiting to make out with him.
Yeah.
In front of where anyone can see you do
They
it.
were in the shadow of a pillar.
Okay. A very
Yeah.
open room. Where,
Yeah.
Right. They were 10 feet away from the other people.
The eye reticle that says she's in stealth was closed. So yeah, so she was good.
Yeah, it's very Splinter Cell rules on are you in stealth.
Yeah.
Oof. Oy.
So, honestly, like how I said in Attack of the Clones, it would be a much better movie if you just photoshopped Anakin out of it. This movie would be better if you photoshopped Anakin and Padme out of it and just made it about Obi-Wan. Because everything about Obi-Wan in this movie is engaging.
And that's where I come to I've heard some fans say this, and I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit, but there were a lot of people who thought he should flip to Darth Vader like halfway through. Not Darth Vader were like, you are now Darth Vader. And he's like, all right, cool, I'm Darth Vader. I'm going to keep being Anakin, though. Like, fully transition into Robo Vader. Just like, that should have been the villain for the back half of the film. He should have had a red lightsaber. It should have been that, because that would have been more like something we could attach to and feel like we're actually part of it. I've never been fully on that side. I can see where they're saying it.
Yeah.
But I've never been totally there. But I do think it would help with the whole making it more Obi-Wan's story. And I think if the whole trilogy had been his story, that idea of him flipping to Vader earlier would have made more sense.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor is so good at being Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan's motivations in this movie, Obi-Wan's action sequences.
His callback to A New Hope.
His callback to A New Hope. Just he loves being Obi-Wan, and you can see how much he loves being the character. How much in this movie Obi-Wan loves being himself, and he loves the Jedi. So he broke Obi-Wan's heart by turning into the dark side, more than he even broke Padme's, because they were together a lot longer.
It really is kind of unfortunate that Padme has to be in the movies. And I don't take that the wrong way. She should have been written better. But the way that she's written, it's just like, just get her the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because she's just killing time here. Because the emotional beat is between those two.
Yeah, it's all about the bro love in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, especially when they start doing that force push on each other. When they start
yeah.
doing that force push on each other and their hands almost touch, and you're just like, oh my god, this is so tragic.
But that's the problem. And just kind of going into like we'll spin it a little negative on this thing, although we've been kind of walking that fence the whole time. This should feel like a tragedy. Like, because you're watching and going, oh, this is tragic. This is a tragedy. But I don't feel bad for anyone but kind of Obi-Wan and I guess Padme, but I'm not really attached to her in this thing at all. So it's just kind of like, she's a red shirt. We're waiting for her to die the whole time.
Yeah.
Sorry for the Star Trek reference in a Star Wars
okay.
episode. But that's the thing. You're waiting for her to die the whole time. So the only thing you don't know is, like, how will it come down between these two? So she's just kind of wasting space.
She is.
Which is unfortunate, but that's the...
You could mention her, be like, Padme's... She doesn't feel well.
Yeah.
She's been ill lately because of morning sickness.
She got morning sickness. She fucked off back to Naboo.
Yeah. Like, and then you're fine. Like, why is she hanging out on Coruscant if she's not doing her job?
Yeah. And then, my God, if you had the Jedi had found out about them and the Jedi are keeping her from him till they can figure out what to do with them, then you have a reason for him to be pissed.
He'd really be angry then.
Yeah. Because right now the reason he's pissed is because they won't give him a title.
They won't make him master, and he's just fully upset that his dreams say that she's going to die.
Yeah.
And he doesn't believe that the Jedi have any way to stop that.
And they also asked him to spy on Palpatine, who's been acting suspicious this whole trilogy, and everyone just like...
But he's my friend.
Just now catching on.
But it's even like Yoda, like, full on tells him, even if there was a way to protect her from death, why would we? Death is a part of life. Celebrate them dying. Like, that's a thing that, like, a lot of people, even on our Earth, have said. And it's like, well, fuck you. Death is still scary. Like, that doesn't help me at all. That doesn't comfort shit. But...
Well, in the logic of this movie, the Jedi still don't know that he's married to her.
Yeah.
And has children coming. So they might be more tactful about saying, well, let her die.
Yeah.
I mean, she's what, your friend? Your BFF? Just
whatever.
let her
She's
go.
A politician. We don't like them.
It's not like you're sleeping with her or anything.
If it wasn't for her, Palpatine wouldn't be in power anyways. Let her go, dude.
Well,
she's totally bringing you down, man.
He was there for the vote. She was being stupid.
She trusted him to do the vote.
In a field and not doing her job.
She put Jar Jar in charge.
She did. Terrible decision.
Whole of the Empire. Padme's fault.
Yeah.
Just cracked that one wide open. It's also totally not true. To clarify. So we started talking a little bit about Obi-Wan, and I don't think we fully finished out that whole thing. Because Obi-Wan kind of is going to hit the pause button right now. And I'll come back to him. Because he's a far bigger conversation, especially him and Yoda and all of that together. Because I feel...
General Grievous and all that stuff.
I guess we should talk about General Grievous.
I mean, his fight with General Grievous is great. Has one of the best
Is it?
creature moments.
Okay,
in
creature
the movie.
moment's good. Okay, fuck it. We'll talk Grievous right now. I was gonna go to Mace Windu, but we'll do him after Grievous. The Grievous thing is stupid. I don't like Grievous. Grievous.
It hasn't aged well for me at all.
Nope, has not aged well. It didn't work for me the first time I saw it when he's sitting in his escape pod going. I was like, what the fuck?
It's
Well,
just
he's
another thing
laughing
of
and then
George
coughing.
Lucas trying to bring back his
Yeah.
things from his childhood,
I didn't like that.
like
I
the
didn't.
corny villains. And
I didn't
such.
like that the droid suddenly got sarcastic in this movie. Like he takes the thing from the droid, he's like, "You're welcome." It's like, what is happening right now?
They're more
Yeah.
high-class droids.
I caught that this time around that a lot of the droids just got more sentient and more personality. Like
And bitchy.
between, yeah, they got bitchy between 2 and 3. I
Yeah.
was like, did I miss something? Is that actually in the Clone Wars show? Did I miss them gaining like pizzazz?
I mean, I started watching Clone Wars short. They are definitely more like they are in in this movie than they are in the other two movies. So I guess there is some traction there, but it is
When did the Clone Wars
Clone Wars.
cartoon show happen?
The
Was it
2D or the 3D?
2D.
I don't remember.
You're not.
3D was after the movie.
3D was after this
Yeah.
movie. So
'Cause-
the 2D might.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Either way, Grievous, in my opinion, is a dumb character. He is not explained well at all. He comes out of fucking nowhere. If you didn't read the in-between book that takes place between, that kind of explains the Clone Wars, you have no fucking idea who he is. It's just like, who is this thing? Why is he here? Why is he not a Jedi but can still use 4 lightsabers at the same time? Poorly, I might add. He loses all of them like fucking that. But all of that aside, it's just like, this just feels like padding to me.
Why is
All
he
the
like a
Grievous-
monster of the week, like an enemy
Yeah.
of the week? Because he escapes the same way, like, "Wahahaha, I'm leaving in my jet,
In my wheel car.
my wheel car, or I'm grappling out of the window. Haha, see you later, suckers." It's like, is this a TV show now?
Yeah, it just he just did not work for me at all. He's my biggest complaint in the entirety of the movie. Like, I do not like Grievous, and that was not the case the first time I saw it. Like, I didn't like some of the cheesiness with him, but at the same time, I'm like, I like the 4 lightsaber fight. That was pretty cool, and I like the whole chase with him, and I love the Obi-Wan just up on his high horse, like, I hate blasters, so uncivilized. And it's just like,
There's also that mystery that when I first saw this was kind of interesting, that he's somewhat organic matter as well, like fused with machinery. So I was like, well, maybe they'll pay that off somewhere. No.
Nope, not even a little bit. So like that always is kind of. I just don't think he's a good character. I feel like maybe in the Clone Wars he is. I know he is in the Clone Wars, but I'm not sure. I've only watched like the first few episodes. I'm just dipped my toe in those waters. But there's just something about him that just never fully clicked for me. And on every subsequent rewatch, I've gone a little bit colder on him. And now I'm just like, I fucking hate the Grievous stuff. Like I'd rather watch Jar Jar in Phantom Menace than Grievous in this. Like that's my level of like, I've forgiven Jar Jar to this extent and gone the other way on Grievous. Just like, I guess Jar Jar isn't that bad because Grievous blows.
Yeah,
I'm
and it
sorry.
just points out like the skill level disparity that these Jedi seem to have with this, because yeah, like you said, he's using the lightsaber so poorly, and it takes Obi-Wan a long time to beat him, but he could have killed Anakin like in 3 different spots. So I'm like, okay, where's the power dynamic here? Is like
They
Grievous
never
seems
really
like a grunt.
established that very well. A lot of the other Jedi Masters all die real easy.
But that's against Palpatine.
And against just people on Geonosis.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Geonosis one. But against Palpatine, that one made sense. Like those guys went down fast because he's fucking Palpatine, and they were not expecting him to come out with a lightsaber.
Yeah, they didn't know he was gonna. He's like, whoo! It was in my sleeve the whole time.
Yeah, he fucking like taxi driver them. Like, you talking to me?
It's been sitting in my sleeve for 3 movies. Oh my god.
It's chafing, man, chafing.
Yeah, I've just been hanging on to this just in case.
This might come in handy in like 12 years.
But I gotta say, I love that fight. The Mace Windu fight, like
Oh.
going back to the Mace Windu one, because I can't talk about Grievous anymore. I love the Mace Windu fight.
The only problem I have with the Mace Windu fight is how often Mace Windu likes to do the whole like exposing his chest thing, but like it's so showy.
It's so come at me, bro.
It's so
Come at me.
bro, which is a terrible tactic when you're in a fight.
He wins the fight.
Yeah, I still think that the only reason Mace Windu actually, quote unquote, best Sidious in that moment is because Sidious is waiting for Anakin to come, because he needs to be laying down looking weak underneath a Jedi's lightsaber to convince the Anakin that the Jedi are bad.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. Yeah, that tracks.
I love Mace Windu, so he wins the fight. Everything you're saying makes total sense.
I think they were all manipulated.
Well, yeah, the whole movie is manipulated, and that's kind of the only thing that does not pay off at all. It was like the entire war was fake.
It was. He was controlling both sides.
Yeah, he
made
was
it all
controlling
up.
both sides in order to gain power. And I really
to
wish...
destabilize the government.
Like, yeah, I just wish once somebody had mentioned it. Because it's clear, there's an entire fucking TV show that just got an extra season, fucking years after it went off the air, all about this war that's fake.
Yeah. There's no purpose to any of it.
No, it's a war with droids because nobody's going to fight it because there's nobody on that fucking side.
Yeah. The separatists are not real, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, they're real because he made them. He gave them reason to separate from the government. He did do all of that.
But we never established any of those characters in any important manner.
No, not beyond Phantom Menace when they just kind of show up and they're just like, whoa, Jedi. Ah!
Oh, it's Marshmallow Head.
Well, then they were
and
just the Trade
another
Federation.
creature.
But the Trade
They're from the
Federation,
Trade Federation.
They turned into the Separatists.
Well, they were part of the
Yeah,
separatists.
they're part of the Separatists, yeah.
They are not the separatists.
Sure, yeah.
They're a fraction. They're like China.
I mean,
because they gave them Chinese accents. But
Weird choices.
yes. But yet some of the next to Ewan McGregor, the best acting in this movie is done by Ian McDermott. I always forget his name.
Yeah, Ian McDermott.
Palpatine.
You really make me want... Like, I was so close to saying Dylan McDermott. And
No,
I'm like,
that's a different person.
No, that's his
He was
cousin.
a lawyer.
Dylan McDermott looked good as a Jedi, though.
He probably would.
Those piercing blue eyes.
Yeah.
Oh no, make him a Sith, and he'll be like, call me Daddy, Sith Lord.
Whoa.
Darth Daddy.
No, I'm not into that.
No, I don't like the daddy things.
Not into
That's
that.
so incestuous.
Yeah, I like him with his piercing blue eyes and a green lightsaber. He'd look good.
Yeah. But even so, Palpatine, even though all the responses he gets from Anakin are very blah, just his ability to, poke and pull at all these little threads in Anakin's head and be like, I know exactly how to wrap you around my little finger.
And I mean, you just said the performance was great, but it's the idea that he is the only person in the entire series who can read George Lucas's ridiculously bad dialogue and have it come off legit.
Yeah, I know. That's why the performance is amazing.
So good.
I don't know how to describe it. Like the sequence when they're at the opera or whatever it is.
The Blitzball game.
The Blitzball game. And it is so blatantly obvious that he's a Sith Lord. And for some reason, Anakin still doesn't clue into that till later.
Well, because he's all twisted up.
Yeah. But the way he's talking to him about how... is that when he starts bringing up Darth Plagueis?
Darth Plagueis the Wise.
And
Even as he's telling, there's some showing going on there, especially as he's smirking. You're like, you're talking about your master. Like this giving you this extra stuff, and that's Ian McDermott the whole way through. He's giving you just so much extra for this
great
character.
Was it ever confirmed? I never actually looked into it. Was Plagueis his master?
I think so. Again, I don't know either. I never bothered to look into it.
I always try to track back all the way. I'll bring him up again. I try to track back all the way to Bane, and I just can't do it. I can never figure it out.
Well, that's because there's centuries in between them, isn't
That
there?
was a long time ago. Longer time ago. Same galaxy though. At least not our galaxy. You know what I'm saying. But there's something about especially that scene. He's so good in that scene, and it comes down to that one line, and it just gave me chills the first time I saw it. And it was the first time in this trilogy, where I went, "Oh, this movie's not bad, not bad at all." And is that line that you already mentioned earlier, John? That "not from a Jedi."
Yeah.
It's just oh fuck, he's letting down the veil just a little bit, just enough to kind of creep you in. And it's just, he's so fucking good at it.
It does say on Wikipedia that he did train Darth Sidious.
He trained him? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
He was his master.
Oh, cool. Okay, well then there we go. Perfect. That makes sense then. Oh, that means he killed him. Mm-hmm. Poor Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis the Wise, my ass. He had the worst. I mean, granted, Plagueis had to be so proud of him when he was dying. Going by Sith rule, he had to be like, "Yep." Yeah.
You got me. Oh, I love you, boy.
Oh, you're gonna do good, my boy.
Ow.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't go out quite like Darth Bane. Darth Bane did not go out like a champ. No sirree, Bob. He was convinced. He's like, nope, this isn't the right one. This is definitely not the right one. She would never be able to kill me. This isn't going to work. Oh, God, it's working. Oh, God, it's working. Poor Darth Bane.
I didn't read it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm being real vague about it, just letting you know that he does die, but shocker there. Seriously, read the Darth Bane trilogy, not just the person sitting across the table from me. Everybody. It's so good.
I started
All right.
it.
So good.
Just haven't gotten back to it.
I really want to read
Because I don't read the books anymore. I'm like,
Who has time?
I don't do anything anymore.
I only read
I'm a
comics.
mom. I have nothing that I don't have time for anything anymore.
We're so busy watching these
should-
Star Wars movies.
I just
we
wish my version of a mom could be me just hanging out in a room looking out windows. That sounds really relaxing.
Yeah.
Okay, that penthouse suite or whatever it is pretty baller. Like looking out on the whole planet of Coruscant and just like lavish and you know.
I mean, they have a great patio, but the room itself just kind of looks like an airport waiting room.
Yeah.
Complete with a McDonald's and a Dunkin' Donuts, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
Just to have that in your own place.
But it's airport, so it kind of smells like farts at all times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's honestly just a McDonald's too.
fair. So the guy we haven't talked about at all, and I
Yoda.
feel like we have to. Little Yoda.
Little Yoda. Yoda is so mad at himself at the end of this movie.
Oh man,
As
I
he
forgot this.
should be.
How did I not? How did this get past me?
And Plagueis calls him out, and he's right. Totally right.
Sidious.
Sorry. Sidious. I'm
Plagueis Jr.
Thank you. Now I'm forgetting the exact quote, but it's basically your cockiness will be your downfall. And it's like, it was. Not will be. It was. He was so sure that there's nothing that could have gotten past him that it got everything past him and dismantled all that he knew.
And if he just listened to Mace Windu earlier, because Mace Windu just like, let's just get this done. And he's like, let's be careful.
Yeah.
Like, people will get mad
Yeah.
if we just
Think
kill the
about
Chancellor.
it, we must.
Yeah.
Think about it, we must.
No.
Sit on our ass.
No, now is the time for action.
And here's where the one thing that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I think Chewie, she kind of helped me come to terms with it a little bit. My biggest thing is, like, I'm not a huge fan of their fight. It's a little too CGI-y, a little too showy. Doesn't really feel like I felt like their fight should have been more like Vader and Obi-Wan from A New Hope, of like, they're so powerful, there's no point in even trying to swing lightsabers at each other because we know where that's going. That's kind of what I thought their thing should have been like.
Right.
Almost
Almost
is
like
fine.
Hero, the movie Hero.
Yeah, more like that, which is fine. I mean, I get why they went the way they did. They wanted to be the big bombastic thing. I'm not judging it for that. But there's something about the end of that fight where it just kind of ends. Like, it just stops. Like, there's not really a clear winner. It's a winning by, like, geography. Of like, well, I'm all the way down here. Can you just hang out up there? He's like, no, I'm going to leave. He's like, but if you leave, we can't keep fighting. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going to leave. And Yoda's like, okay, well, then I guess I should just run away. And that just doesn't feel like Yoda to me. Like, it just felt like Yoda just kind of threw in the towel of like, well, I guess that's just not going to happen. I guess I failed. And it always kind of bothered me, but then I'll let Chewie explain why she thinks it still works.
Well, it mainly works because I think he concedes to his hubris a bit. And he starts to think of the greater good of, well, what's going to happen if I die here?
Yeah.
Nothing great, but I could potentially help things in the future if I continue to live.
Yeah, he's playing
So
a numbers game.
You
If he-
just gotta go. Whether or not you want to go, it does not matter what you want right now, because all of your thinking earlier got you in this position. So now just leave, and hopefully you'll be able to fix some of it later.
She does.
Yeah, many
Yeah.
years later, when he's gone a little batty on a planet by himself.
And I do love that he has gone a little batty. Like, that's probably one of George's best things, was he didn't make him exactly like he was on Tatooine.
Dagobah.
My God.
Dagobah. We're going to the
Whoa.
Dagobah system, R2.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Brain fart.
It's okay.
Dagobah. Because if he'd been the same person, it was like, well, there's no growth there. But, like, seeing him on Dagobah versus him in these movies, it's like, oh, he went crazy.
Oh, well, it's interesting that you brought that up because
Corin does that now.
Corin does do that now. It's kind of annoying, but also adorable.
Everything is his. My car keys are his.
It's true.
it's interesting that you brought up that kind of defense of the whole Emperor and Yoda fight, because it really does pay off the whole thing. And at the end of Last Jedi, when Yoda's talking to Luke, that whole, learning from failure. And as I watched it this time around, I was really thinking about that scene between him and Luke later. And that really ties it together really well. Just, the learning, the greatest teacher failure is, and all that. And I really liked it.
We tried coming back. We've had a couple comebacks. They didn't stick.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying this is a great movie. I'm not a fool. But
there's stuff here. There's
so
to pick
much
up.
here. There's so much good here that this is, in my opinion, the only prequel where the good legitimately outweighs the bad. And it's not like good like, say, Phantom Menace, where it's like, well, it's a kid's movie, so I'm gonna grade it on a curve. Like this one, I'm trying to grade it like a legit film, and I actually think the good outweighs the bad. Not by much. The scales are pretty much even, but there's just a slight edge to the good stuff. Slight. Just a
yeah.
Because whenever you start going like, well, it's a pretty good movie, then you still have no in the background to make you go, oh, never mind, not a good movie. It's a bad movie.
Just that no. It was fine until he turned into Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Because it's the whole thing of him ripping
monster,
his
please.
arms out.
Frankenstein's monster. Please.
Whatever.
Yeah. Plagueis Jr.'s monster, all right? Jeez.
Him stomping out of the thing and then blah, blah, blah.
Do you guys remember the original teaser when he was on the plate and he had his arms up instead of down by his sides? They were like up, like he was like a little child, like getting like, I'm going to be so evil.
Yay. Yeah, I'm Darth Vader.
Like I remember watching that with friends of mine in college because they were super nerds and they got the trailer before it ever even came out. Like, you got to watch this shit. We're watching it, and then it gets to that shot, and my friend Adam was like, "What the fuck? What the hell was that stupid shit?" He was so into it until that shot, and I'm like, I hope that's not in the movie. And then it wasn't. Yeah. Thanks, George. One of your post fixes was good. There's one. Whole bunch to one.
But again, that's what you were saying. That's why I always tell people, no, the prequels could have been great. As an entirety, they could have been great if George had just given it over to someone else.
Yeah, and that's we brought him up in the very first episode out of the prequels back in Phantom Menace. I forget his name again though, because look at me doing research for these things. The guy who done the videos, What If Star Wars Was Good? Which the first one is still great. The second one's good. The third one kind of falls apart for me because I feel like by the time he got to the third one, he's dug his own grave at that point. But his whole thing was make it all about Obi-Wan. I agree. That said, I think this movie kind of proves you didn't have to do that necessarily. You could have made this story if you'd given it to somebody who could actually shape in this huge pile of loose notes that got turned into a movie that we saw instead of a tight script.
Give it to somebody who understands how to write romance.
Yeah.
Because George doesn't.
Same outline. Exact same outline. And I think the story would work. I think all the beats are there. I think everything works. And this movie, just the way it ties everything together, proves that. It just needed such a stronger hand at both the script and the director's chair. And I don't think we would be sitting here going, prequels suck. I like the old ones only. It's like, no. All Star Wars movies have something worthwhile in them. Mm-hmm. For sure. All of them. Even Solo. And I do not like Solo.
Well, and it's just this movie really makes us think about the what could have been.
Yeah.
Because all the blocks by now have been just kind of cobbled together and you see it where it's falling apart. Because, I was really jonesing for this romance to be better. Because it was like, this all hinges on this. Like, this is the crux of their thing. This is the moment, and it's just not there. And there's a lot of this other good stuff around the rims of this movie that you're just like, I can see the potential. I can see where this could go good.
But it just never
gets there.
Fully connected. That's the tragedy of the prequel trilogy.
They just didn't live up to their potential.
No. We sound like disappointed.
Similar to
We're just
Anakin.
a bunch of disappointed parents.
Similar to Anakin, where he didn't live up to his potential. Instead,
But he did.
He wallowed in his angst.
He totally fulfilled his destiny if you're looking at it from the eyes of a Sith. Balance out the Force. He sure as fuck did.
Killed a lot of Jedi.
He balanced those scales. 10,000 Jedi, 2 Sith. Now there's 10,000 Jedi, and we'll however many Sith that we want to, keep throwing into video games and comic books and sort of stuff of, well, Order 66 killed all of them, but this guy. And all of them, but this guy. And all of them, but that girl. Because we just keep making those fucking things.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, it actually kind of makes sense in a way.
They wouldn't get everybody immediately. Not
No.
everyone was hanging out with a clone. Someone would have been sleeping. Someone might have been on the crapper. Even Jedi go to the bathroom.
I heard that they turn their poop into Force energy.
No, that'd be stupid.
Would it?
Because then they're just walking around pooping.
The midichlorians are like, not again. This Jedi's trying to hide his poop with us.
Okay, so what do we miss? Like, what's the thing that we did not talk about in this movie that people out there are like, you haven't talked about that yet? That's my audience voice. I'm very sorry. None of you deserve
Now
that.
see here. You did not talk about this thing.
None of you deserve that.
I don't know. I mean, Jimmy Smits.
I like Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits is a very good Bail Organa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't really get to do too much. He never did too much in any of these movies.
We got to see Alderaan for a little bit and just see
Yeah.
the
Alderaan
design
looked
of that,
really
which was
nice.
kind of neat.
Alderaan
Yeah, it
looks
looked pretty
great.
cool.
I really hope nothing bad ever happens to that planet.
I'm investing heavily in real estate in Alderaan, so I think it'll go well.
Becomes a tourist destination for destruction porn.
Here's something that we didn't mention at all. This is the best looking out of all of them.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
of course it looks amazing.
I mean, cinematography, the special effects, for the most part, all hold up. It's a very gorgeous looking movie. And I say that knowing full well that at least only the Phantom Menace was shot on film, and it actually looks very good still. But the cinematography didn't quite feel the same. Like, this one is just a very well shot film.
It's definitely a journey of the digital movement that you can see from Phantom to this, where it's just like, oh, they really mastered it here for Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, like they got their shit together. And like I still think that opening the opening space fight, because this is really the only Star Wars film, Solo again, that doesn't have like a really big epic space battle. Like there's usually something. I guess there really is anything in Clones. No, Clones has the Jango Fett fight.
Yeah.
But like this one only has the opening sequence, and otherwise not really that much. And like that's sort of fine. I don't really have a problem with that. That said, it's like that opening sequence looks incredible.
I gasped when I saw it in the theater. I do remember that being like, this what, we're just looking at a future Star Destroyer. What's the deal here? And then they turned downward, and you just saw that, oh, shit's going down. And I gasped like I was on the top of a roller coaster about to go down.
Yeah, and it looked, and I just remember going like, this is the best looking special effects I've ever seen. I remember that going through my head. It was like, this looks incredible. Like incredible. And I think
on
the
Blu-ray,
majority of the movie,
it really pops. It really pops on Blu-ray, man.
It even looked great on Disney Plus. Like that's how we watched it, and it's like, thanks
streaming
Verizon.
through Brian's phone onto our television through Google Stick, or what is it, Google Fire?
Chromecast.
Google Stick. I like that branding.
Amazon. Is there a stick?
I think I don't know.
We're losing Chewie. She's fading fast.
She's becoming one with the Force. I did want to bring out. I did
fell
want to point
asleep
to.
in the truck at work today.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
I woke up and like, why am I cold? Or my window's still down?
I did want to point out the scene where Yoda was like, "Hey, I mastered how to be a Force ghost thing." At the very end, to give like Obi-Wan that whole like, you get to talk to your old master again. Like, it's like kind of you're gonna be alone for a long time. Here's something
he's
cool.
Your buddy in the
Yeah.
desert.
You get a buddy, but it was a nice callback. But it was something nice for Obi-Wan having carried this entire trilogy on his shoulders and just lost everyone. It was just like, you get this back. It was I like that, like those moments in these types of things where
I feel like
you get
Qui-Gon
something.
would give him a little lecture though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So how did it turn out?
Oh, it's so good to talk to you. How's Annie? I hope he's doing well.
Did he bring balance? Did he bring
balance to the Force like I thought he would? Technically.
From a certain point of view?
From a certain point of view.
As long as his legs are calibrated right, he's got a lot of balance.
He's the best at
What do you
balancing.
mean his legs calibrated? Well, I kind of chopped them off, so now he's got robot legs.
He's a lot more punny now, I guess.
How are his arms? Oh, those are gone too.
Yeah.
How's his hair? He had such beautiful hair. Oof.
No,
Oh,
severe
yeah, nope.
scarring
Still
all over
good.
his body.
How's his singing voice? Oof.
I mean, actually pretty good. He's a baritone now.
Yeah. He dropped a few octaves.
He dropped a few octaves.
So it's not all
His
bad,
voice is
right?
way more intimidating now. I'll be honest.
What happened to
Yeah.
that? What happened to that stupid Jedi Council? Oh, they got dissolved.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Remember how you didn't like politicians? Well,
Good news. They're gone.
most of them.
But here's the real question. Will Liam Neeson be in the Obi-Wan show?
That's actually interesting. I
Disney
don't know.
has the power to do that.
They would have him be a space ghost.
It'd be kind of
If
cool,
anyone could
wouldn't it?
get Liam Neeson,
It would be.
yeah.
I'd be into it. I'd be okay with it.
I also,
If we're going to bring back, why am I blanking on this? Entertain. If we're going to bring him back, we should bring back,
we should also just bring back Darth Maul again. Because he's supposed to fight Obi-Wan on Tatooine.
yeah, I know.
Because he wants to try to get to Luke.
Unlike
Yeah.
Darth Bane, that's not necessarily canon anymore. Right?
Well,
No, Solo has,
'cause
Darth Maul.
No, the Darth Maul is still alive because he was in Solo.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And he's got fingers everywhere. He's all manipulative in the
thought he
underworld.
had 10 fingers.
So, I don't know. What?
It's a number of fingers joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Comedy at its best here at After the Hype.
5-star rating.
I give it 10 thumbs up.
There was some dad joke about like
I've
it
just wasted
said-
1 year
there's,
of my
like, a
life
thing
away.
About the future's looking pretty 2020.
Ooh.
And then the meme said, and all dads in the world collectively laughed.
No, all dads are going to collectively make the same joke on January 1st, 2021. Well, hindsight's really 2020 now.
I've got a whole day planned.
Oh, hilarious.
I'm so excited to make that joke
Hilarity.
all fucking day. January 1st, 2021.
Oh, look, I guess my vision is 2020 today.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good shit.
Yeah.
But now that we're making 2020 jokes, I believe we've finished this episode.
Yeah.
So it is time for quote 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 quotes. Quote 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 quotes. Quotes. Quote quote quotes.
My belly just started itching real
That was my quote song. New hit signal on Spotify.
It's a great way to bring in the segment.
Yeah. So my quote, I promised that it would be this. After watching it, I wish it wasn't. But I'm a man of my word. So my quote is clearly, now!
bad. You also didn't tell your story about the clone thing.
The clone thing. Oh, yeah.
Cody.
Fine. I'll mention that. It's kind of embarrassing.
You told
The-
me you wanted to talk about
I
it.
did, and then I was like, no, it's kind of embarrassing. The first time I saw this movie, for those of you who remember, there's a character named Cody that is one of the clones that Obi-Wan is on the whatever planet that was. The whole first time I'm watching the movie in theaters, I thought Obi-Wan was calling him Cloney. And I'm like, wow, he's kind of a dick.
That's beautiful.
Like, he couldn't think of any names for them, so it's just, Cloney. My bad.
Or his nose was stuffed and he just couldn't get the articulation.
So I figured it out on the second watch, and I didn't tell anyone I was there with when they're like, I heard the D on that one. I'm like, Cody. That makes a lot more sense.
But you know what? That doesn't preclude there being a cloney somewhere
That's true.
out there.
And I don't know why I didn't catch it. I think even the Emperor at one point calls Cody at something, and I'm like, man, everyone just calls him Cloney.
Yeah.
He's got a weird sense of humor.
He just goes home, Dear Diary, I do have a name. It is Cody.
Cody. I know it's close to Cloney, but you don't have to be dicks about it. Bunch of space
Signing off
dicks up
Zanga.
in here. Making my live journal private.
I'm trying to remember a good quote, but there's just not. For me, there's not that many. So I'm
mine's-
just gonna go with "You're breaking my heart."
Ugh, it sticks with you. I have a
It's the
second one.
delivery in that. It's like high school acting level of.
Yeah.
I don't understand why I'm saying this, but I'm gonna act the shit out of it. You're breaking my heart. Oof. Oof.
For mine, I'm gonna go with it's over on the over on Kashyyyk when Yoda's chilling with the Wookiees, or he's about to head to the Wookiees. He's like, "Good relations with the Wookiees, I have." Just the delivery. Frank Oz saying that, I think, to me was very funny.
Chewbacca did not need to be in this movie.
Hey, Chewbacca, do you know that later it's going to be established that you end up in a pit like a Rancor at some point?
That one I just assumed happened right then and there. Like, Yoda leaves and they lose the fight. Or when all like those stormtroopers like, oh, we're bad now. Take the Wookiees.
You're now slaves!
Yeah. So that one doesn't really feel that bad to me. That one I can make work.
Nah.
I don't think Chewie would go down, but either way. Anyhow, my other line that was more of my legitimate one is more when I'm playing video games. I play all the time. I quote this movie, and I always kind of forget that I'm quoting this movie when I do it. But like whenever I've like fought a boss a whole bunch of times and I've failed a bunch of times, mostly talking about Dark Souls here, and they come running at me when I start the fight, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna kill me, and I'm like, you will try. So many of these prequel lines have just creeped their way into my everyday speech, and that's not good.
That's okay.
It's okay. I like these movies. They're terrible, but I love them. Like they're still Star Wars to me.
Yeah, I think it was still enjoyable to watch all three of these. I really enjoyed our time watching this.
Yeah. I know they're not great. I know they're most likely bad, but I still just...
I try to, after I watch one of these movies, I just try to rewrite it in my head of what was the possibility of this film.
Yeah. At least this one has the greatest thing of that lightsaber fight.
Yeah.
So, review system. Describe your lightsaber.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Based on this movie?
Based on this movie.
Not a very good lightsaber.
All right, I'm going to make mine about as as windy as this plot and make the handle an S, and then it's double-sided. It's going to match the wibbly wobbliness of this plot and the machinations and all that. It's not going to be practical, but then again, neither was any of this.
Sure.
I'm going to make it a little janky, where it works great right when it's on, but you kind of have to smack it a couple times, and the trigger has just a sliver of metal that's just pointy, so you cut your thumb every time you turn it on. And you're like, you're
Nice.
a great lightsaber, but you got these issues, and I'm just going to put up with them.
My lightsaber is going to be throwing some major shade at a movie that I don't necessarily intend to throw, but, here we are. Mine's Kylo's lightsaber. Just the exact same lightsaber. It
All right.
has...
Bombastic and doesn't really make much sense, but it looks real cool on screen.
But it kind of doesn't also. Like, it doesn't have a clean blade. It's got a really kind of, crooked blade because it's unfinished, because he didn't know how to fully finish making his lightsaber. It has this needless claymore shit coming out of the side that makes no fucking sense. We don't know why it's there. But at the same time, when he starts whipping the thing around, it's like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. That still really works. I kind of like this thing. But then when you just look at it, it's like, why does this exist? Why is this a thing? So you kind of love it, and you kind of hate it. Kylo's lightsaber.
Kylo's lightsaber.
So I hope you don't take that as shade at the Disney trilogy. I'm really not trying to, because I'm very excited to watch the movie tomorrow. We're going with Chewie's brother, my brother-in-law, in Minnesota. So we get to see the movie on Hoth. It's going to be great.
So true.
Yeah.
I'll get to see it when we finally get to Hoth.
Oh, you're going to far deeper in Hoth than we are.
Yeah. We're going into the Wampa Cave.
Oof. Our Corin sleeps with a stuffed Wampa every night.
He does.
He loves his little
really
Wampa.
Cute.
We've given him so many nice-looking stuffed animals. He goes for the creepy ones every time.
And he really wants Brian's Jason Funko all the time.
Yep.
I'm really worried he's going to eat that machete at some point.
I am too. Our kid's weird. But whatever. It wouldn't be our kid otherwise. So that's it. We've Star Wars'd. Quite literally, on our show, After the Hype, we have reviewed every major released Star Wars film as of now.
Yeah.
We've done it. Give myself a round of applause. Boy Scout style. If you're a Boy Scout or ever knew a Boy Scout, you know what I'm doing right now. We're almost done. It's okay. We're going to do a very quick round of plugs, and then we're going to say goodbye. The only thing I will say is, you know what? Here, we'll say goodnight to Chewie. and then John and I will finish this thing up. It's okay.
Sorry.
No, she's been up way longer than the
It's
rest of us.
almost 10. I want to eat my chocolate.
Say goodnight. Say goodnight. Goodbye. We'll
You're
finish the
breaking
up.
my heart.
You're breaking my heart.
I just want my chocolate.
You're going down a path I can't follow.
I'm going to do a very short pitch of what's coming next and after the hype. So but you
Okay.
can go. It is totally fine.
I love you guys. Bye.
We'll see Chewie in 2020.
Yeah.
So very quick, I'm going to kind of forego the plugs right now because it's the end of the year at After the Hype, and we're all just kind of finishing up our shows, or at the ATH Network, and none of us are really doing any year-end stuff. You can check out, I had an article released at the beginning of this week, back on Monday. It was just kind of my favorite stuff of the year. I didn't really demand anybody else from our network to do it, so it's just kind of the one thing. We're not doing a big blowout for the end of 2019, or for the end of 2020, or for the beginning of the new decade or anything like that. It's not really my style. So, there you go. But this is going to be, except for Rise of the Skywalker, and maybe an episode here or there, the end of normal After the Hype. We've done it. We're moving on to season 2. Right?
Wow,
makes
it's been a
sense.
while. It's been a
Yes.
couple of years.
We had a long season.
Long season 1 on to season 2. Season 2 is going to be slightly different. It's still going to be a movie review podcast, of course, because that's what we like. But we're going to kind of change it up a little bit. And instead of doing what most podcasts do out there, which is kind of take a movie and dive into it, we're going to do things just a hair different. And we're going to go based on filmmakers. And by filmmakers, I use that as a broad term. That could be director, screenwriter, production designer, actor, a job that has done many things of note. And we're going to spend a whole month on whoever that person is. It's that person's month, and we're going to go through movies all throughout their career. We're going to deep dive into these people and celebrate the people that bring movies to us instead of just the movies themselves. You want to hear a podcast about movies? There's a billion out there. There's probably a billion out there about filmmakers as well, but we're going to do our own take at it because we've done the movie thing now for what, John, like 6 years, 7 years?
7 years about, yeah.
Yeah, long fucking time. We've been doing this show. So I want to change things up. And I've talked to Chewie about it, talked to John about it, and everybody seems on board. It actually kind of came out of an idea that John had when he's like, you just want to do more Zack Snyder movies after we watched 300? It's like, that kind of gives me an idea. And we've been kind of workshopping a little bit, and I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a fun way to kind of continue the show in a different way that will still be exciting for everyone to listen to.
Well, yeah, especially since I'm sure all of us, not all of us, have 100%ed any filmmaker at any given time. And just to see the beginning and even the end just really helps a lot in the discourse, to use quotes.
Yeah, and I'm really excited not just to do the directors and actors, because those are people who always get all the love, but like really dive into some of the other like nitty gritty roles. Like I'd love to do a month on a cinematographer, screenwriters, that sort of stuff. Like I think there's gonna be a lot to do here, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I hope you all come along with the ride for us, because it's I'm really excited about this. I had almost debated on shutting down After the Hype entirely and just doing this as its own show, but I think it still kind of fits into the After the Hype nature, because we're gonna be talking mostly about older films still, and they're still gonna be way after their hype. So we're just changing the mission statement slightly, and we're going to see where it goes. If it doesn't work out, we're going to jump back into this format when we're tired of doing this, but I'm feeling really good about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what avenues of filmmakers I hadn't thought of before. I'm definitely planning to attack some blind spots with this.
Absolutely. And I haven't really decided who our first person's going to be. I have a few names in mind. I think I am going to start with the director because it's going to be a lot easier. The name that's coming to mind first, and this doesn't mean that it will be our guy, but I've been thinking Joe Dante for a little while. And I think Joe Dante, because he doesn't get a ton of love, but people know who he is, and it'd be really fun to dive into his career and go from the beginning to the middle to the end of where he is now, because he's still making films, and it could be a lot of fun digging into somebody like that. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. So I can't guarantee it'll be Joe Dante, but there is a chance it'll be Joe Dante. And then we'll move on from there.
Yeah.
I'm
excited
really,
for it.
I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. And of course, we will do Zack Snyder at some point, because that is the guy who kind of brought us this idea. So we will have to do that sooner or later. The bad news that comes with the new show news, though, is I'm going to take off the month of January to really workshop this and make it the show that I want it to be, and to make sure that we're not just jumping into this thing haphazard and just hoping for the best. So there'll be no new episodes of After the Hype after this one until February. I apologize, but when we come back in February, we're going to come back strong with a new show, new style, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to show it to you guys.
Yeah.
That was it.
To actually do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So otherwise, I'll just say the plug really quick, athpod.com. Check it out. If you like pop culture,
got everything.
We have something for you. Is there anything else you want to say, John?
Exactly.
Wish a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of our listeners.
Yeah, have a Merry Christmas, a Merry Star Wars.
Merry Star Wars. Enjoy it. Even if you hate it, enjoy it, because realize you're not getting another one of these things for a while.
Yeah. Just be in the moment with everybody that you're watching it with. Whether you like it or not, just be a part of the community.
I don't know who said it, but somebody said it best. To love Star Wars, you have to hate it a little bit. And I think that's totally true. So, even if you're hating it, remember, it's because you love it. So just hold on to that love. It's still Star Wars, even if it's not great. And that's all I got. I'm going to say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Chewie's saying bye from the other room. You can't hear her.